not an easy topic to talk about, and I've tried my best to thoroughly research this lesson, but there's still a possibility that I make mistakes. So I ask that you forgive me in advance. Also, if you have any sorts of questions or doubts, don't hesitate to ask. I just only ask that you wait till the very end. That's part of the reason why I asked you to bring a paper and pencil. You guys can write down any questions you have, and then I'll have a question and answer period at the end. And also, I specifically asked Ajit Shamacha to join me here so that he can correct any mistakes that I may make, and then he may help me answer any questions that you may have. I actually gave this lesson in September this past year in New Jersey Church, and it was received well. And so then someone heard about it, and I gave the message actually in St. Stephen's Church in Boston, and I was supposed to give the message also in St. Mary's Church in Hartford, but because of the snow, that got canceled. This message contains some of the major church doctrines of sin and repentance, and that's why I go into the reasons why the church teaches that we should do Holy Confession. Actually, a year prior to when I gave this message in New Jersey Church, I spoke about being separate from the sinful nature of the world, and how Christ calls us to be separate unto God. The reality is that we all fall into sin, and that we end up separated from God from a position of being separated unto God. So just note the difference of being separated unto God, which we want to be, versus being separated from God, which is what we end up being when we sin. So when we sin, we need to reconcile ourselves to Him, and that's done through confession and repentance. And that's the tool that God gives us to be separated unto Him. I'll admit right now that the lesson is a bit long, but it's actually very important that you understand sin, confession, and repentance. So I'll do my best to keep it interesting, and part of what I'll be doing is asking, as Chamacha mentioned, I'm going to be asking you guys to find specific verses and to read them out loud. And also to take notes on some of the verses that I point out that I'll be saying myself. And as Chamacha said, when I ask one of you guys to read a verse, make sure you stand up, read very loudly and clearly so that everyone else around you can hear and understand as well. I'm going to start off the lesson by asking a few questions about the Holy Sacraments. I see that there's people here that are not part of the Sunday school, which is, again, very much an honor for me, for all of you to join. But these questions here are actually meant for the Sunday school students. If any of them have difficulty understanding, then we'll ask the other people here to answer the question. The first question is, does everyone know what a sacrament is? It's a little bit of a tough question, so I'll give you the answer from the outset. The proper definition is as follows. A sacrament is a visible manifestation of God's grace. It's a visible manifestation of God's grace. The church teaches us that we must partake in certain sacraments. Okay, now this question is actually open for all of you. How many sacraments are there? 7. Okay. Do you guys know what they are? Can you name them off for me? You guys can name them out loud, just make sure you say it clearly. Baptism. Confession. Marriage. Qurbana, communion. Repentance, yeah. Priesthood. And matrimony. Yeah, you guys got it all. It's very good. I've gone to other churches where they struggled a little bit. I'm impressed with the Sunday school teachers who teach you guys well. So out of those 7 that you listed, which of them are mandatory? Or it's actually easier, which of them are not mandatory? Priesthood and which else? And holy matrimony. That's correct. All right, that's very good. I'm impressed. All right, now that you have some background on sacraments and that Holy Confession is one of them, we can start specifically talking about confession. I want to give you now 3 Bible verses which our church bases is the basis for Holy Confession. So if you guys have a paper and pen, note this down, and I'm going to actually ask people to stand up and read it out loud. The first one is Luke chapter 13, verse 3. Someone can find that verse and stand up and read it out loud. Luke chapter 13, verse 3.